Okay, welcome to the webinar today. I'm glad to have all our Pronunciation Pro students here. This webinar is for members of Pronunciation Pro who are going through my 12-week course, or even my, there's the 12-week course and then there's the 40-week alumni course that comes after. So a lot of my students will continue to come to these webinars as they're going through the alumni course, and even after. I think we have a few students that that have just kept renewing their membership because they like to attend these webinars. So glad to have you, and glad to have you here. This webinar really is for those of you who are in attendance today and have questions. I do have a few emailed questions that we can go over at the beginning. Sometimes it kind of helps to get things rolling with some of those that were emailed. But whenever you have a question throughout this program, then we'll definitely address those. So Ram, I see your question there. So let me go ahead and get started, do a little introduction, and then we'll go ahead and address that. All right. But yes, at any point you have a question, go ahead and write that in the questions box and we'll go through those today. Okay. All right, so it's June 22nd, 2016, and this will actually be, we'll only be doing one webinar in July instead of two. I usually do 2 per month, but that's because I will be on vacation with these little guys. So we're doing our annual summer road trip that I like to do with my kids, and we're going to spend a month kind of on the road, going to visit their grandparents that live kind of on the other side of the country. So we pack up and we stay with family and friends along the way, and we have a great time. But I will have my computer with me. I will be continuing to answer questions. Andrew will be able to continue to be giving feedback and working. So I'll be on the road, but I'll still be available. So by email mostly. All right. Okay, so for those of you who are new to the program, and I do see quite a few names, as I get emails every time someone new registers, so I do recognize your names, and I'm glad to have you here. So as an introduction, my name is Annie Rudin, and I'm a speech language pathologist and have been doing accent work since this guy was just a little baby. So so I love what I'm doing, and I love working with all of you, and these webinars are some of my favorite times because I get to interact with you and get to answer your questions. Excuse me. Okay. So let's go ahead and actually, before I get started, let me answer Ram's question. Excuse me. Okay, so Ram is asking, I have a basic yearly plan and it's going to end soon, but he wants to continue this course for longer. How can I do that? Okay, so close to the time that your membership, the yearly membership, is about to expire, you'll get an email from me that says, oh, your membership's about to expire, here's how you renew. So after a yearly membership expires, then we give you the alumni pricing. And so the alumni pricing is actually $99 for if you want to sign up for another full year. It's not a one-time fee of $99, or you can sign up monthly with our alumni pricing for $9.99 a month. So just shy of $10 a month. So it kind of cuts the price in half once you are an alumni with us. Okay, so those emails will go out to you and you'll get that link to be able to register as an alumni. Okay. So yeah, so wait for those emails. If it gets to the point where it has completely expired and you haven't gotten those emails, definitely contact me, but you should get those just fine. Okay, so let me just look through and see if there's any Other questions? Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into some of the questions that I have from I've been emailed or been getting over the last little bit. So this is from Trin, and Trin said, it seems difficult for me to pronounce the invisible Y. Okay, when I pronounce rescue, I find that I have made it sound like rest you. I'm confused that maybe I don't understand your lesson about part 1 much. Would you mind explaining this to me a little more? Okay, so let me go ahead and explain kind of what, when I get a response or a question like this is kind of the process that I go to identify where is the confusion, what might be happening. So for me, when I hear this, I'm seeing, okay, rescue should be rescue, okay, with that invisible Y. And I actually am going to go into the invisible Y lesson. I have the worksheet that I'm going to pull up so that we can go through more examples for all of those who are kind of confused about that invisible Y rule. But basically, the invisible Y says that whenever you have a consonant and then the letter U, so we have a consonant is C, and then we have a letter U, what happens is that your mouth kind of needs to get into that U, that position for the U sound, and it's a long U, so it actually says its name, U, and so there's kind of this, well, when you think of the long U, it starts with the Y sound, U. Okay, so when you're going from a consonant to that U, there needs to be that Y sound to transition to it. Okay, so rescue should really sound like that. I don't want it to be rescue is what I hear sometimes, or there's like a kind of a break in between rescue, you know, where there's a break, and we want to make sure that that links and that connects very fluidly. So that's part of the reason for that invisible Y, is to just cause a little bit more fluid movement through those consonants, or after that consonant. Okay, so when I hear hear Trin say it sounds like rest you, what I'm seeing is the difference is not with the invisible Y, because it looks like you're getting the invisible Y, but it's more that consonant before. So instead of getting the consonant k, that K sound in the back of your throat, Trin is pronouncing it in the front. So Trin's saying rest you, and kind of having that T at the front of the mouth, and it needs to be rescue. And that K kind of really moves, just moves right into that Y sound, that invisible Y sound. Is there anybody else? And go ahead and just kind of, there's like a raise hand icon. If anybody is interested in going more into this invisible Y concept and doing some more with the worksheet, just raise your hand and we'll go ahead and do that. Otherwise, I'll move on. Let's see. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on. If anybody has questions about that later, we can go into the worksheet. Okay, the next question, and go ahead, I'm seeing that some questions are coming through on the questions box. Continue to write those as you think of them, because after these first few questions, then we'll get right into your questions. Okay, so Wilkinson said, I want to pronounce the word hotel. Instead, my Surrey gave me hodl or hodl. Your consideration is highly appreciated. Okay, so I don't know if any of you have used, I thought this was an interesting question because he was using Surrey, so that voice recognition technology that's on the iPhone. And I don't know how many of you use voice recognition technology. We've been kind of looking at the possibility of adding a little bit of a application onto the website so that you can practice. And I was actually had a conversation with a student recently who was kind of asking my opinion about voice recognition technology and using that for pronunciation training. And basically what I came down to, and he had tried some in the past, and his response was similar, is that voice recognition technology is really good at this point at picking up very precise pronunciation. So if you're getting that pronunciation very precise and exact, then it's pretty good at picking it up. But there are a lot of kind of exceptions and reductions and things that happen in American English that are difficult to pick up on this voice recognition technology. So I would imagine that it's just going to continue to get better, and I keep kind of watching out to see the level that it is, so that if it can be a benefit to my students, I want it to be, and we can use it that way. But at this point, I don't feel like it is as good as it could be. And I feel like communication is such a personal thing and has a lot of variation to it, especially when it comes to the rhythm of English. It's very hard to get the rhythm when you're using a computer. So that's why, I encourage you to come to these webinars or to work with our trainers when you're trying to get to kind of that higher level with your pronunciation and fluency. And why I give you examples of TED Talks and people who are really accomplished speakers. I want you to be able to see that flow that they have to their speech, and want you to really listen and get comfortable with that rhythm, because that rhythm is really quite important. You can say every sound correct, but then you sound like a computer. Okay. All right. So basically with Wilkinson, when I see that, so he was trying to get hotel, and when I look at this, it's either hodl or hodl, but the way it's spelled, I would say it was hodl. So basically what I look at is, okay, what's the difference between hotel and hodl? And there's two differences. One is in the vowel. Hotel has a long O, hotel. So we might not have gotten a very full pronunciation of that long O. Hotel. And the other difference is the stressing. So hotel has second syllable stress, whereas hodl is going to be first syllable stress. Hodl isn't a real word, but in terms of pronouncing it the way, using pronunciation rules and spelling rules, that's how you would say it. Okay, so those are the two things I look at. So if you're using Surrey or you're using voice recognition technology, and you're like, why did I get that? Why did they think that I was saying that? You kind of need to compare the two and say, okay, what's the difference? Look up on dictionary.com how they're spelling it out, and then compared to what they think that you said. So just a little, something that you might be helpful for you. Okay, Raquel, you're up. Raquel, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Raquel, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you had a few different questions, so we'll go through those together now, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so about linking. So we're talking about linking, and so consonant to consonant. So we talk about consonant to consonant, vowel to vowel, and consonant to vowel linking. And linking, for those of you who haven't quite gotten to the linking lesson, linking is the concept of just how do we fluidly move from one word to the next, because we don't break apart our words very much in English. In most languages, you don't break apart each individual word. You make them flow from one to the next. And so there's some strategies to know, okay, if I'm not able to link these two words very carefully, or very fluidly, how can I make that more fluid? Okay, so with the consonant to consonant, you're asking what kind of sound is the y sound. So the y sound is actually is considered a vowel. Okay, so a vowel, okay. That y sound is considered a vowel. So it wouldn't quite fit into this consonant to consonant rule. But what it did remind me of, and let me answer the second part, is dark L considered a consonant? And the answer is no. So dark L and R vowels are also considered vowels.
Okay.
Our vowels, I guess, in linking might not be considered a vowel because you do have that or it's more of a consonant.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say the dark L is considered a vowel. Okay,
And
yeah, go ahead.
they say in the back of the mouth.
Yeah, so let me go ahead and move into, I just recently put this together. Do you see this chart where it says root
Mm,
phonetics vowels? Do you see that?
yeah, yeah, I'm seeing now,
Okay.
but not before.
Okay, good. Okay, so I just put this together because there have been a few questions of like, okay, what position in my mouth are some of these vowels? And
Mm-hmm.
there's a similar chart. I didn't kind of make this up. There's a similar chart using the International Phonetic Alphabet that you can find online. But I just used Rudin phonetics with it so that you could kind of
Mm-hmm.
compare to how we use the sounds. So as far as where it's produced in the mouth, we kind of have here's some of the more front sounds. Um, and this is like, close. This is how they have it. And let's see, this is more open. This is more closed. I should put a D at the end of that. So E sound, you see how it's kind of closed. I don't have my mouth wide open like ah. Ah is the most wide
Yeah.
open. Ah, E. Okay, and then we have E, which is kind of more, which is more in the front, E, and then ooh, ooh is more in the back, considered in the back. There is a little bit of, there's that rounded lip movement, ooh, that creates that rounded in the front, but really the sound is being created in the back. Okay, so we
Mm-hmm.
have E, and ooh, and then down the chart here, and then those kind of in the mid range. It's not open, it's not closed. Is A, I, and O are kind of there in the middle and going front to back. So what was it was yeah that you're kind of wondering about as far as where it is.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, it says it's more in the central. I would kind of consider it more in the back. Um, but yeah is kind of central to back, kind of in the middle to the back of your throat. Whereas you kind of feel that way back there, right? Uh,
Yeah, right.
okay, yeah is a little bit further up, a little bit, because your tongue is touching the roof of your mouth. Okay, does that answer your question, or does it?
Yes, yes. And how about the dark L? Where can I put the dark L?
Okay, so the dark L, so I would put it, is right here.
Mm-hmm.
I would kind of, it's in the back, kind of back middle. So I would put it kind of close there to the yeah sound. Yeah,
Okay.
kind of back in the middle. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good questions. Okay, I'm going to go back to here. Okay, so now we're going into vowel to vowel there. And you say, when you say first vowel, because I refer to like first vowel, second vowel. The first vowel, I bolded it here. So whenever and you were
Okay.
exactly right when you said,
Mm-hmm.
it's the last vowel in the word where the word ends. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I can see how that would be unclear. So when I say vowel to vowel, I'm always thinking, okay, this is the last sound you hear in the first word. Here's the first sound you hear in the second word that you're trying to link together. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's clear.
Good. Okay, and if anybody has any other questions about linking, um, I also have the worksheet that we can go through as well. So if anybody wants to go through that a little bit later, we can. So linking questions. Okay, so let's go through some of these specific words that you were having a hard time with. So exit has that X The X kind of has a KS sound to it. So if you're going to break the X sound down, it has a K. So exit. Exit. Go ahead and say that one for me, Raquel.
Exit.
Yeah, do it again.
Exit.
There you go. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Okay. So ex-boyfriend, we're gonna get that same X, and then the stress is gonna be on boyfriend because that is a compound noun, boyfriend. So the stress always falls on the first syllable of a compound noun. So say that one for me.
Ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, and then this one is going to be olive. So you're going to kind of, the stress is on the first syllable, so you're going to kind of go up and then down. Olive.
Olive.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. Her name is Olive.
Her name is Oliver.
Okay. The olive tree is in my backyard.
The olive tree is in my backyard.
Perfect. Okay. Because the first time when I said her name is Olive, you would kind of put Oliver. You kind of put a little bit of er at the end. So I wanted to make sure that in connected, if it wasn't in the end of the word or end of the sentence, that you weren't putting that on, and you weren't. And I think it's more because it's the end. It was the end of the sentence that you were adding another sound.
Okay. So. Yeah. Sometimes some friends make joke the way I say Oliver, and I'm kept thinking, okay, I'm saying wrong.
Okay, so it might be while you're saying it, you might say Oliver and have more of a rounded Oliver instead of the dropped Oliver.
Okay, Oliver.
Yeah, Oliver. Exactly, Oliver. Because the it's the difference between that long O, Oliver, and Oliver.
Okay.
All right, good.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, and then let's go ahead and what syllable should I stress in these words? Okay, so I do want everybody to kind of participate in this one. So I want you to answer this in the questions box. What syllable should you stress in this? I won't say. I'll let you kind of think what you would do in this situation, and then I'll say it, because once I say it, you'll probably pick up on the stress. Okay, so I'm going to let all of you who are there go ahead and type in where the stress would be. Okay, good. Okay, so this situation, so I'm going to now say it, and then I want you to answer. So phone number. Phone number.
Phone number.
Mm-hmm. Phone number. Okay, so it does, so the stress is falling on that first phone. So actually, phone is just one syllable. Okay, so there's only going to be one stress there. And does anybody know why phone number, the stress is going to be on phone and not number? So there's phone number and there's phone number. Phone number. What's his phone number versus what's his phone number? You're going to hear that difference. Olabanga, good. It's a compound noun. Okay, leave it to Olabanga to know that. Olabanga's been a faithful student of Pronunciation Pro. Okay, Olabanga, perfect. So it's a compound noun. So compound nouns, what that is that when you have a compound noun, it's like phone and number are two different nouns. Okay, they're two different nouns, mean two different things. But when you put them together, then it means something different. Okay, it means something specific. So phone, I have my phone, a number, any kind of number, but a phone number is the number I dial to reach your phone. Okay, so whenever we have a compound noun, then we definitely are going to stress that first word in the compound noun. Okay, so with this next one, go ahead and say that for me, Raquel.
Okay, phone number.
Perfect. So it kind of comes up and then down. Phone number. Okay, for this next one, which syllable would you stress in this one?
Just one syllable. H, no, two. Age, first one, I think.
Okay, so so Raquel, you were asking, let's go back to phone number. So your question is when you're saying your actual phone number. When you're saying the numbers is when it becomes difficult. Okay, I won't have you actually say your phone number, but on here, so we don't want people calling you.
No, yeah, okay, but it's more like
yeah, if you make up kind of different numbers, maybe jumble those numbers around, and say it.
It's more like a 17 or 17 when I say a phone number.
Yeah, 17. So what happens with 17 and 70? What we want to do is and actually let me go into my blank worksheet here, and let's talk about this one, because this is an important concept. And I think I have it in the program somewhere, but right now I'm having a hard time remembering exactly where I have it. But 17 and 70. Okay, the difference between these are going to be there's two different things that are going to differentiate a teen number from a tens number. Okay, the first one is the stress. So in teen numbers, we're going to stress the second syllable. In these 10 numbers, like 60, 70, we're going to stress the first syllable. Okay, that will help in getting that differentiation between, because if I say 17 and 70, they have the same stress to it. But if you kind of differentiate those and say 17 and 70, then that makes it a little bit different and easier to understand the difference between that. The other difference is when we're doing 17, because the stress is falling on that teen, we're going to pronounce it as a T. Okay, 17, hear that t sound in there. And then 7D, we're going to pronounce it as the D sound. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So 60, yes. 70, 80, 90, 30 is going to be the same. 20 is going to actually 20 is still going to have that T, but 30 through 90 will have the D. And then all of the teens, 13, 14, 15, 16, emphasize that T and get that second syllable. All right, so those two differences will really help in being able to help you be better understood when you say those two, okay? All right, let's go back here. Now, coming back to the question of what syllable should we stress here? There's only one syllable, so it would just be age. And we always, when we're stressing the syllable, we always stress the vowel in that syllable. Okay, so when we were talking about the phone number, I liked how people were you can't see their responses, but in the question box, like Uba was saying the O, because that's exactly right. We're going to stress the vowel in that word, phone number. Same thing with here, age. So we're going to stress that A, because really here that E is silent, right? We just do age. So we're going to stress that A. All right. Okay, any other questions? And go ahead and say age for me, Raquel.
Age.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, tell me his age.
I'm 25 years old.
Okay. How about say the word, tell me your age.
Okay, tell me your age.
Yeah, good. There you go. Yeah, so you're getting that stress pattern perfect. All right, good question.
My question was more about that lesson. You say when is a number is accounting, you put this in the first, or it's not a counting number, you put in the second.
Oh, okay.
That
So it's
was
similar to the other one with the phone number, where you're just trying to figure out where the stress should fall in the actual numbers. Um, okay, so let's go back here. So when you're saying your age, so 25, you said, so 25, 25, 25. So it's going to kind of up and down. 33, 33, 52. So it's kind of, the stress is going to fall usually on the first one. Now, unless it's a teen number, right? I'm 17.
Yes, the teen number.
Yeah. So usually after the teen, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are all for one syllable words, so that makes sense. Teen numbers are going to be second syllable, and then after that, you're going to get into I'm 25. Now, if you're counting, it usually the pattern sometimes changes, or the rhythm. You go 21, 22, 23, 24. And you start stressing that number that's the second syllable. So if you're saying, well, how many do you want? And you say 25. Okay. So that's how you would stress it if it's just a single one. If it's in a sentence, you say, I'm 25 years old. I'm 25 years old. So there's a little bit of a difference depending on the context.
Okay.
So if you're saying,
Okay, now
if
I
someone's
understand.
like, you wanted 30, and you say, no, I wanted 35, then you'd want to emphasize that second one. No, I wanted 35.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So a little
Yes,
bit,
yes.
yeah. So kind of contextual, but those are kind of the general idea with those numbers. Okay, let's go on back here. Okay, thank you, Raquel. If you have any other questions,
Welcome.
we'll get back to you with those. Okay, so let me just kind of scroll through here and make sure we're starting with the first questions. Okay, so G or G? Let's see, I'm going to unmute you. Now, is it G or G?
G.
G. Okay, great. Hi, G.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good, good. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about, you're asking about the TH sound
Yeah.
in therapy, okay? Especially sounds like therapy. So therapy is going to be that voiceless TH sound. So have you gone through the week 2 lessons on the TH
Yes.
sound? Okay, so let me hear you say this word.
Therapy.
Good. Okay. So that has a nice voiceless quality to it, where it sounds like your mouth is getting in the right position, therapy, and you're getting that little bit of airflow there. So let me actually go through. I'm going to switch over to the workbook. I want to hear some of the sentences and maybe even a paragraph there of the voiceless. Do you have problems with the voiced TH sound, or is it mostly voiceless?
The voiced. When I say therapy,
Okay.
I know definitely they're gonna ask me like, what did you say?
Okay. So that has more, when you just said it, I would say it has more to do with the stress of it than the sound TH sound, because you're getting the TH sound. And then the other things that I'm hearing is you're kind of rolling the R sound. Have you gotten to the R's yet?
No, this week.
Okay, so this week's R's. So you'll kind of learn to kind of smooth out that R sound, so it's not kind of that roll, your tongue's not jumping up. So you'll kind of smooth out that R sound. And I was hearing therapy. Okay, therapy.
Therapy.
Whereas it would be therapy. Therapy. So it's first syllable stress, therapy. So say that for me.
Therapy.
There you go. So that stress, that actually where you stress, what syllable you stress in the word, which you'll get in the next lesson as well, or in week 3. Have you done week 3 yet?
I did week 3. I also did week. I mean, this R sound, the stress, and everything. I mean, all by myself. I did my part. I go over the video. I read the worksheet. So
Okay. So yeah, it's more the stress pattern. So therapy is going to be first syllable stress. So we want to make sure
you
you
mean like when I stress the first syllable means I have to like should be like voiced.
So what it means is so there's different ways that there's so therapy. So if I were going to break it down into the syllables, this is what I would do. So there's 3 syllables in therapy. And when I heard you say it the first time, you're stressing the second syllable. So you're saying
Okay.
therapy. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of going therapy and coming up on that whereas if
Okay.
usually we want to do ther and kind of start up high, therapy, and come down. So it's that longer, louder, more emphasis, where you're putting more emphasis on that syllable.
I got you.
Okay?
So therapy.
Yeah, there you go. So put it in a sentence.
Uh, I have to go to my therapy today.
Yeah, there you go. So once you get that, and that happens quite a bit where sometimes it's not the sounds, you might be doing the sounds correct, but it's just the stress pattern that might not
Stress
be
part.
quite right. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so in that one, that's the specific case. So let me actually just hear, as you were talking, I could hear that you were doing it correct, the th sound correct a lot of times, but then occasionally it would be more of a t
Yeah.
sound. So
Mm-hmm.
that just means that you just need to practice more to get it more comfortable for you, because your mouth is going to want to come back to that t sound instead of the th sound. But the more you practice, the more comfortable your tongue will be there, and the more
Right.
in conversation you'll be able to use that correct th sound.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good. Let's see. Did you have another? Oh, you did have another question. Let me ask
Quarter.
that. Quarter. Okay. So say that again.
Quarter.
Quarter. So that probably has, you're getting the stress correct. That has more to do let's see, quarter. It probably has more to do with that ending R sound kind of coming up and rolling. And we want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure it comes down. So quarter.
Quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Quarter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it gets tricky when there's more than one R in there, because your
I
tongue's
know.
like,
I know.
oh, I want to come up, I want to come up. But as you practice those R's and practice reading out loud and things like that, your R will get more comfortable kind of in that downward position.
Okay.
All right, and then let's see, there were a couple others I saw. Yeah, therapy and quarter, so we addressed those. So say quarter in a sentence for me.
The game ended at the last quarter.
Yeah, okay. So it's just about those R's in that one, just making sure that comes down, and you will have to slow down your pace for a while
Okay.
while you're practicing, because if you try and do it the normal pace, your tongue's
Mm-hmm.
gonna start going,
Yeah.
kind of flipping up.
Got it.
So, yeah, and then say this one for me: game, game.
Game.
Yeah, get that long A in there. Game, game. And you haven't gotten
Game.
Yeah, you haven't gotten
Okay.
to the vowels yet, but
Okay.
wanted to that versus, because what I was hearing was gem, gem.
Okay.
Yeah, gem versus game. It's going to be the difference between that vowel. Okay.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right, dude. Good. Thank you
All
for
right.
your questions. Okay, so let me come back up here. Okay, Najisa, let me answer your questions. Let me unmute you. Najisa, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, let's go ahead and go through. So you had some questions about cities, the names of cities. Okay,
Yes, or state too.
yeah, let's go through some of those. Cities and states. Okay, so do you want me to go ahead and say them, or do you want to say them and I can kind of see why it is that they might be a problem?
Okay, so I think no, I'll say first.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's do that first one.
Okay. California.
Okay. So all of the sounds are sounding really good. I think the difference is just the reductions that typically people use in these. So California. So instead of California, it tends to be forn. And there's nya. California kind of has nya at the end, right?
Oh.
California. Yeah. Okay. So California. So that instead of California with that E, it just gets reduced to So say that again for me. California.
California.
Yeah, there you go. Say it one more time.
California.
Yeah, perfect. So that would be more the reduction that typical native speakers would say. And then go ahead and say that in a sentence for me.
Only with sentence?
Yeah, so California in a sentence.
Okay. I want to go to California.
Okay, so you kind of reverted back to California. So say it again in the
Okay.
sentence.
I want to go to California.
Yeah, good. Okay, so that's the trick is that we go from word and you can say it fine in a word, but it does take practice to start putting it into sentences and then into regular conversation. So you do have to spend a little bit of time kind of just saying and re-saying a few sentences with those words in it to get comfortable with that. Okay? Okay, say the next one for me.
New Jersey.
Okay. So the difference is going to be in the Jersey. So I'm hearing ja-z, ja, and having more of a vowel sound instead of the R sound. Jersey. So new Jersey. Okay, say that for me.
New Jersey.
So do this for me. Jer.
Jer.
There you go. So you have a very strong R there when you kind of isolate it. So we got to get that into words. Okay, so Jersey.
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 Yeah, so getting from that R to the Z, it sounds like it's kind of your mouth's like, no, I don't want to do that. So Jersey.
Jersey.
There you go. Jersey.
Jersey.
Yeah. So New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, that's just going to take some practice to get your mouth comfortable with that. But basically, that's going to be, it's just going to be the matter of that R sound, making sure it's nice and strong. And my guess is that R, what week of the program are you in right now?
Week 1.
Oh, okay. So you're just getting started. So yeah, you'll go through in week 4 all those R's, the R vowels and things. And I'm glad to hear that when you isolate that R sound, you can get a really good R sound. So now it's just a matter of practicing it, slowing it down and getting that practice so that you can get that R sound in like connected speech in those words. Okay. So my guess is typically that sound, you're doing more of that sound instead of the in words. So kind of pay close attention to that when you get to the R lessons. Okay. All right. So let's do the next one.
Virginia.
Okay. So same situation as this. I'm hearing Virginia instead of ver. So do that one for me. Virginia. And it's going to be second syllable stress, but for Virginia.
Virginia.
And do ver.
Ver.
There you go. Virgin.
Virgin.
Yeah, so getting from the R to another consonant, I think is going to be a little tricky. But Virginia.
Virginia.
Yeah. Okay, so you'll get more practice with that R here later on in the course. Okay, so how about the next one?
Los Angeles.
Okay, so the ending kind of gets a little lost when you're saying it. So Los Los Angeles. Los Angeles. So an is going to be where the stress is. Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Jealous. Yeah, you want to make sure that that last part is still as strong. Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Yeah, there you go. Jealous. And you'll want to practice jealous.
Mm-hmm.
Jealous. Good. Okay, excellent. Najisa, did you have any other questions that you wrote in here? No. Okay. All right, great. If you have other questions, just write them in, and we'll hopefully get time for it. All right, thanks. Okay, let's go in down here. Let me keep going down. Okay, Rania, you were asking, and I don't know if this is in connection of something we were talking about earlier. Rania, you there?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so you were asking about girlfriend.
Yeah.
Girlfriend is pronounced as. So go ahead and say.
Girlfriend.
Yeah, go ahead and say that for me.
Girlfriend.
Yeah, girlfriend. So it really comes down to that girl sound. I guess it's more girl, and we have that R and then the dark L right next to each other. So girl, it's kind of like world. Girl tend to be harder. So say that just alone, girl.
Girl.
Yeah, and then do girlfriend.
Girlfriend.
Perfect.
I feel like L is silent with girlfriend.
Not
I know
really.
how to say girl.
Yeah, girlfriend, because it's a dark L sound, it's going to be more of a ol, ol sound. So it's not going to come up and touch. So I could see how you would think, oh, there's no L in there, but if you say girlfriend, you can tell that's a different word, right?
Yes.
Girlfriend. So you have to have that dark L in there to be able to make it sound correct. So girlfriend.
Girlfriend.
There you go. Okay, because the first time you did say girlfriend, but the second time you got that girl kind of dropped into that dark L. Girlfriend. Okay, so say that into a sentence for me.
I saw his girlfriend.
There you go. Yeah. So you definitely want to still get that Earl in there. Okay, let's see. So I see a couple other questions. I don't know, were those responses to what we were talking about before? Pronouncing the before S?
Yeah, it's hard for me to say it's the same. If it's slow, I can get it. But in daily conversation, like fast pace, it's hard. I put like th position for same instead of that.
Oh, okay.
To say the theme, something like that.
Okay, so say this at your normal pace. I want the same one.
I want the same one.
Okay, so is that the kind of situation that you're talking about, that you sometimes can't get that S in there?
Yeah.
The same.
Like sentence, it's the same.
It's the same.
The same.
Yeah, so when you're slowing it down, obviously you can get that S in there, but I could see in like a faster pace, because the reason it would be tricky is the TH sound something that you've been working on? Or is that something that's kind of comfortable for you already?
It's comfortable, but when TH and S come together in the same sentence, it's hard for me.
Okay, good. You actually said it correct there. You said it in the same sentence. You got it. But
okay.
So yeah, you're doing it correct right now, but I know you're kind of focused on it right now. But yeah, the different, I can see why that would be tricky is because the TH is coming between the teeth and then the S is pulled in. So you're getting that, it's a very similar position, the same, the same, the same. So there's just a slight difference there. So your tongue is probably either wanting to come do one or the other. You know, it's not wanting to do both of them. It's wanting to do the same or the them. You know, it's trying to get that same
Yeah,
position.
it's actually the name of Elizabeth. It's sometimes I put TH position in Z instead of the last one TH. It's
Oh, okay.
confusing.
Elizabeth. Yes, because it has Elizabeth, that Z sound, which is the same position as S,
Yeah,
right? Elizabeth. Elizabeth
Elizabeth.
sings the song. How about that one? Say that one.
Elizabeth. Elizabeth sings the song.
Yeah, so that would be that would be a sentence to kind of practice. And whenever I see that there's like, oh, TH and S, I have a hard time, you know, my students have a hard time with words that have both of those or combinations. I think of sentences like this that have as many of those two sounds as possible. And it's kind of creating your own tongue twister, right? So you create a sentence like this, and then you practice it over and over and over again, and that strengthens your tongue to be able to get from the TH to the S. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Elizabeth sings the same song. Same. You put another TH sound in there, you know. All right, good. Thanks, Rania.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let me make sure that I didn't skip anything. Okay, so let me keep going. Okay, Ram, you wanted to say do San Jose. So let me unmute you. Ram, you there? Ram? Oh, looks like I'll leave you unmuted. But Ram was wondering about San Jose. I think when we were talking about the sentence or the cities, San Jose. San Jose is how it would be. San Jose would be. So we have the long O and then the A at the end there. Ram, you there? Or you might be in a situation where you can't talk. But yeah, that would be San Jose. San Jose. Uba, did you get connected to the webinar? Let me make sure. Uba, are you there?
Yeah.
Uba, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Were you able to? I see that you had some connection issues. Were you able to get back quickly?
Yeah.
Okay,
I got
good.
back.
Good. All right. Was it Uba or Abba?
Uba.
Uba? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. Welcome to the program. Did you have any questions?
Thank you. Now it's just listening to them.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know, but you just joined the course because I know when you're first getting started, you're like, oh, there's so much information at this point. I don't know even where, what to ask and anything. But as you go along, you'll get more and more comfortable with the material, and I encourage you to keep coming to the webinars so that you can get you get those questions answered. And just get feedback. I think sometimes it's just helpful to know how you're doing and what still are some areas to improve. Okay, so Najisa, it looks like this might be our last question of the day. Najisa, let me find you. Najisa, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, hello.
Hi.
All right. So you had the words salary and payroll that you're wondering about. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead and say the first one for me.
Salary.
Okay, So what I'm hearing is, I think that R sound, because there's an L and the R in the same word, I think you're wanting to do L in both sounds. So salary, salary. So say that slower, salary.
Salary.
There you go. So you're getting that L and that R, whereas before I was just hearing salary. So we want to get salary. So say that again.
Salary.
Perfect. So do it a little bit faster. So salary.
Salary.
So let's put it in a sentence. So go ahead and put salary into a sentence that you would typically say. Can you think of a sentence? What is his salary? Go ahead and say that.
What is his salary?
Okay, so you're going back to the L sound, so do it slower. What is his salary?
What is his salary?
Okay, so what have you done the R lesson in week 4 yet?
Not for this course yet.
Oh, okay. So when you get to the R lesson in week 4, I want you to really concentrate on making sure. So the difference between the L and the R is the position of the tongue. So you're going to have the L sound, la, 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 is going to come up behind your front teeth. La, 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 la. Is back here. So do that R sound for me. Good. So it kind of comes back here. So we want to make sure that anytime there's an R, our tongue is coming back and not forward.
Okay.
Okay. And what's going to be nice is that it might be that because you might be confusing the L and the R because you don't hear them different, completely different. So you'll go through some listening exercises to make sure that you're hearing it correct.
Okay.
And then you'll go through exercises to make sure that you pull that tongue back every time there's an R. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, good. And then I'm guessing this is probably going to be the same way, but the second word?
Payroll.
There you go. Good. Do that again. Payroll.
Payroll.
Good. Okay, so you're pulling that R back for the R, but then it kind of and then you do the L sound. So that's good. You're getting the R and then the L. So always be aware when there's an R and an L, especially in the same word, your mouth is probably going to be a little confused as to where to go. But just make sure, if you just make sure that R gets pulled back, and make sure that R is in position, you'll probably get it right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Good question. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That's the end of the questions that I have here. If anybody has anything else, you can drop it in, but I think that we're just right on time here. Let me go back to my PowerPoint and just kind of conclude here. But thank you so much for coming with your questions. I love being able to interact and be able to hear how you're doing and what questions you have or what sounds or words you're might be struggling with. So as you are going through the course and you're thinking, I'm just not sure how I'm doing with this sound, or I'm not sure how these words should be, especially words that come up a lot in your daily life and you're not sure about, then let's go over them. Let's practice them because we want to make sure that you're as successful as possible through this course. Okay? Through this course and then through life in your career and everything. It doesn't stop at just this course. Just like Olabanga knows, he's been through the program and the alumni, and I see him a lot in these webinars. So that because I know he's a lifelong learner, and that's kind of the theme I had today: is never stop learning, always be learning, and especially, and you guys know this more than anybody, is that learning a second language is an ongoing process. And at this point, you're at the stage where you're thinking, okay, now it's my accent. I need to make sure that I'm saying, my accent is improving so that as I speak English, people are better able to understand me. And that's the key to this program, is to be understood and to feel confident while you're speaking. Because when you can be clear in your pronunciation and you feel confident that others are going to easily understand you, then it opens up so many more opportunities for you. And that's what I love seeing, is what opportunities are created because you never stop learning and you're going through this course and really applying the things that you're learning here. So thank you for being here. I'm really glad that you're here. For all of those who are new, welcome, and really just kind of dive in and keep going step by step through the course, because we will be here for you all along the way. All right. Everyone have a great month, I guess. I won't be back until, or I won't be on a webinar until July 22nd, I think, or 20th or something like that is our next webinar, because of a trip that I'll be going on. But I am still available to answer questions by email. So again, let me kind of put that up. But I'm always available for questions, so don't hesitate to shoot those over to me. Okay? Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next time. Bye.